Hi, dear Toastmasters, guests, and friends. Welcome to District 31 Toastmasters, world's biggest platform to hone your leadership skills and communication skills. And I welcome you to our talk show, Open Heart with District 31. We have leaders, communicators come to our talk show and share their Toastmasters journey. Tonight, we have a special guest, a Toastmaster who's a dean for the Winter Club Officer Trainings, also called COT. If you want to know more about what happens in club officer trainings or what do we have for Winter Club Officer Trainings, let us welcome our guest tonight, Toastmaster Laura, to our talk show. Toastmaster Laura, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me tonight. I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'm so happy that you could make some time for our talk show. Toastmaster Laura, I ask all my friends this question. How did your Toastmasters journey start? Where did it start? How did it start? Would you like to share something about it?
Sure, it was nearly 4 years ago. I felt like I was living my life in a bubble. And I thought, how can I meet more people? And what could I do that would be fun for me? Well, I have a bachelor's degree in speech communication, and I felt like I wasn't really using it. So unlike others who join Toastmasters because they're afraid to speak, I joined Toastmasters because I love to give speeches. And I thought I could not only have fun and develop my personal speaking skills, but I could help others to grow in theirs as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And how about leadership, Toastmaster Laura? I mean, you were already a communicator, you had a bachelor's degree. How did the leadership track of Toastmasters attract you?
Well, that was one thing I wasn't prepared for. I wasn't aware that Toastmasters would help me with my leadership skills. So that was a pleasant surprise. And I was also thrilled when I got involved and saw that there was a pathway called effective coaching, because I'm just passionate about training and coaching people. And I have to say, I've had the opportunity working for a nonprofit to receive continual leadership training in the workplace. But the leadership training I received through Toastmasters was a different type of training. And I have found it very practical, very hands-on. And as I mentor people and as I talk to people about joining Toastmasters, I let them know that if they have performance reviews, they can bring what they are doing in their pathway to their performance review, and they can tell their employer, hey, I've developed these skills. I've learned about 360-degree evaluation. I've led a project with volunteers that took 6 months. And I think there's just some great things that we can do in Toastmasters that actually translate into the workplace and our personal lives.
Unbelievable. Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. Many a times we don't understand the importance of 360 evaluation that you talked about. We don't sell that very often, but thank you for sharing that. Toastmaster Laura, now we move to our second segment, and I will ask you the impact of Toastmasters on your personal life, professional life, social life, spiritual life. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure. I have enjoyed having a circle of friends through Toastmasters, people that I would have never met under any other circumstances. Such a diversity of ages, backgrounds, work environments. It put me out there, it stretched me and extended me in those ways. It also offered me the opportunity to do some projects. When I came to the evaluation and research project, that's my favorite, because I think, what would I like to learn more about? I would never go and research something to the point where I could give a speech on it in my normal life. But thanks to Toastmasters, I'm getting to do that. So it's been a great opportunity. And then to be involved on a district level with some experienced Toastmasters, to learn from people that are further along in their leadership, further along in their speaking ability, and to have the opportunity to work alongside them has been a joy, a delight, and a growing process.
Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. That is such a nicely put experience. Toastmaster Laura, now we know you as a dean for our club officer trainings. Would like to talk about what can we expect in the winter club officer trainings.
Oh, you want the inside track on that one, huh? There is some great stuff coming up. You know, the one thing I appreciate about our program quality director, Carly Cox, and how she's developed the club officer trainings is she's made them practical. She's talking about things that will help our clubs to operate more efficiently, more effectively. She's talking about practical things. Do you know how to run a speech contest? Do you know how to resolve conflict in your club? Do you know how you could improve as a club officer? There are some great things coming up. How about engaging new members or having a more effective meetings? These are things that all of us as club officers really need to know more about. So I would guess if you look over the lineup, you're going to have a hard time going to just two. I think you're going to find a lot that you're going to want to attend because there's a lot there that we need to learn.
Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. And we had a great fun during the summer club officer trainings, and we are expecting nothing less. And as you said, all these are practical experiences that we can not only use in our club, but also in your workplace. As you rightly mentioned, it's doing an MBA, but with a lot of practical experience there. We're looking forward for a wonderful club officer training. Toastmaster Laura, for any of our audience watching this talk show, what would you say? Why should they join Toastmasters? If there's one or two examples that you like to ask them to try Toastmasters, what would that be?
Well, I think even the best speakers have areas that they want to improve in. But what I learned myself is that initially, even as somebody who enjoyed speaking and had some skill to it, I would spend 1 minute, 1 hour for every minute of my speeches initially. So for my icebreaker speech, I spent 5 hours on it. But I no longer have to do that. What this did was it reinforced some very basic skills and helped me to gain some more basic skills. So when I'm speaking now, I'm not thinking about gestures. I'm not thinking about eye contact. I'm not necessarily thinking about how to lean in to make a point or have a long pause, because those have become very good habits. So what I can focus on is the content, remembering the things that we're prone to forget when we're giving a speech. So I think learning and mastering the basics has been great. I also found the project management part of the leadership training to be very good about working with the timeline, working with the team, setting up accountability. So I think both on the speaking side and the leadership side, those are two things that really helped me to grow. And that's one of the reasons I would recommend Toastmasters.
Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. Many a times you forget about it coming naturally to you, becoming second nature to your vocal variety, body language. How fast would that take? Is that 9 months? Is that 12 months? Or is that depending upon the person who is taking the Toastmasters? Is it self-paced learning? What would you say is the timeline when people start to ease in a little and those skills coming naturally to them?
Well, Toastmaster Very, you know what they say, you're only going to get out what you put in. So if you want to make progress, then you sign up for as many speeches as you can. And that's where we're going to learn these skills. That's where these things are going to get reinforced, is when we have the opportunities to do it. And then also you can ask somebody who you really admire as a speaker or evaluator to give you an additional private evaluation. So oftentimes I'll do that with members of my club. After the meeting's over, I'll record a video for them of an evaluation that's a little more detailed and a little more in-depth. So if you want to grow, you can grow, but it's a matter of investing the time to do so.
Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. You get in what you invest. So thank you for sharing that. And that's a magic line for our members who are trying to get more about from Toastmasters is invest more, you'll reap a rich harvest. Thank you, Toastmaster Laura, for sharing that. Now we enter our fourth segment, which is the rapid fire round. Toastmaster Laura, are you ready for some fun?
Yes.
Toastmaster Laura, A historic speech that is very close to your heart.
Well, I am a political junkie and I love the presidential debates. So I can't choose just one, but I can tell you when the presidential debates come on TV, I will watch it twice. I'll watch it once with the volume down, and I'll notice things like Bill Clinton had makeup on and he didn't seem angry, but then his ears turned red. He didn't have makeup on his ears. And so I like to watch the nonverbal, see if I can figure out what's going on, and then watch it again with the volume. And I love the one-liners I've remembered from famous speeches, like when Dan Quayle was told, "You are no Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy." Or when Ronald Reagan made his speech about tear down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev. Or when George Bush stood at ground zero on September 14th of 2001 and said, "I can hear you. I can hear you, and soon the whole world will hear us." Those great moments in our lives where these speeches have been made, and it may not be the speech itself, but it will be a technique or a quote that was made that will endure the test of time. And hopefully some of us can have quotes that we give in our speeches, things that we say that are quotable, that'll make a difference in someone's life as well.
Thank you for sharing that, Toastmasters Laura. Especially those one-liners were really touching and inspiring. A historic leader that inspires you, Toastmasters Laura. A historic leader that inspires you.
Well, I'm going to say, to be perfectly honest, it would be Jesus. I work for a church. I think he has given some great messages. Probably the most famous speech he gave is Sermon on the Mount. I like how he led with people who other people would say were not leaders. He chose common fishermen, and people wanted to follow him. He was willing to extend a gracious hand of compassion to people who were living a lifestyle that others would frown upon. And I just feel that a good leader is a servant leader, and they model the behavior that others would follow. So I hope it's okay for me to make a religious reference there, but that's who I would say is the greatest leader.
Unbelievable. Thank you for sharing that. It brings a lot of love and humbleness and all that good stuff with that leader. Thank you for sharing that, Toastmasters Laura. A book that you like to recommend to our audience, Toastmasters Laura?
Well, this is one I don't think is very famous, but it's called Hug Your Customer. And it's about a company, a family-owned business that sells high-end men's and women's clothing and the great lengths they go to sell to their customers. I think that no matter what we do in life, customer service is very important. And so they call everything that they do for their customers that's special, that makes them feel special, they call it a hug. And so I have listened to that book and read that book, and I listen to it on a regular basis just to be reminded that we need to not only value other people, but we have to find tangible ways to express how highly we value them.
We will definitely check that book out, Toastmaster Laura. Hug Your Customers. Unbelievable. Toastmaster Laura, your personal speech that when you delivered, you said, "I did a great job." Any speech that comes to your mind?
It's like having to pick my favorite child. But I would say the first research speech I gave, and I am a product of a first generation American-born Japanese. And my father, as growing up during World War II, being a young man when Pearl Harbor was bombed, faced a lot of discrimination. And he was always determined to be a great American, but didn't necessarily want to be identified as a Japanese American. He wanted to be identified as American Japanese. So I researched into the Japanese, and I found that there was a rich history of the Japanese in Nebraska. And it meant a lot to me to understand my roots. And it was it built a great pride within me for what the Japanese Americans endured during World War II.
So, thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. Do you speak any Japanese?
Well, my father said I should never repeat the words he said because he only swore in Japanese.
Yeah, we should not, should not repeat that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Laura. A favorite food that is very close to your palate?
Oh, any food I'm eating with friends, but specifically a thick ribeye steak, some popcorn, some pizza, but especially when I enjoy it with friends and family.
And a restaurant that you like to have good time with your family? Toastmaster Laura, any favorite restaurant?
Well, when I'm back in Nebraska, I go to a fast food restaurant called the Runza Hut. And you might say, what's a runza? Well, they say it's a meal in a bunza. But it's a German calzone type thing. But locally, a really nice place to have a meal would be the Wayside Inn. I enjoy the atmosphere and the food there.
Thank you for sharing that. We will definitely check that out, Toastmaster Laura. That finishes our rapid fire round. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience, Toastmaster Laura?
Well, Vera, I'm just very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for inviting me. And I would just say that for those of you that are new in Toastmasters, just hook your wagon to someone who's been in Toastmasters a while. We have a lot of people in Toastmasters who have been Toastmasters for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they have a lot to offer us. And for those of you who have been in Toastmasters a long time, find somebody that's newer to Toastmasters that you can mentor or lead. I just think there's such a treasury here amongst us, and I would really like to see all of us take advantage of that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Laura, for sharing that. Toastmaster Laura, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you choose to come down and talk to us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Toastmaster Laura. Dear Toastmasters, that was our wonderful friend, Toastmaster Laura, sharing her Toastmasters journey with us, her favorite food, her favorite leader, her favorite speeches, and a lot more. If you would like to come down and talk to us on our talk show, please do mention your name in our comment section. If you like to see your favorite Toastmaster, please do mention their name and we will make sure to invite them on our talk show. On that note, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel and supporting us so that we can bring some more entertaining interviews to you and some more updates to you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Until our next episode, your Public Relations Manager, Veera Sriram, signing off. Bye-bye.